and share our screen. So can everyone see the screen now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And do you remember, like yesterday, we discussed this array example called chapter 1 array, that Java file, and just a quick review, okay, what we discussed yesterday. So constant, is it? So we already know. And array, so this is declare array. And just to remember, whenever you want to use array, before you can use, you need to allocate memory with new, followed by the type of the array and the number of elements you want the array to have, okay? And then we discuss you can also pass array as parameter, is it? And for in Java, so let's take a look at that example quickly. So for this array, for this method, this is a Java method, its parameter is an array, because over here we saw this square bracket. So that's indicate that this parameter in ER, it is an array, and the type is an integer array, is it? And what over here we did for this method is you are going to assign element by element, is it, to the array. You're going to assign value to the array's specific element. And when you call this function, then over here, if you recall, so over here, we just declare and allocate the array, is it? So the array doesn't have any assigned value yet, but it just has some default value, is it? And then we call this method, is it? And we plug in this array as argument. And then this an array, is it? It has values. Is it updated from this method? So what this method shows is if you want to modify an array using a method, then you can pass that array as an argument to that method. Then you can modify the array, okay? And when you invoke the method, then the corresponding values in the array is going to be changed. So that's what this example, this method shows. And also in Java, okay, and for the method parameter, and Java always pass by value. Okay, it's not called by reference, it's called by value. But generally speaking, in other programming language like C++, you have the pass by value and by reference difference, okay? But in Java, we just have pass by value. But pass by value here, you did modify argument here. And the reason is because array in Java is reference. Okay, array is considered in Java as object, okay? Is object in Java. So it's a reference. So even though it's passed by value, but whatever the argument you pass in this case is a reference. That's why after you call the method, the argument, so basically here, this is also a local variable. So the value got changed. Okay, so make sure get this concept clear. And then the second one we show here, this reverse method, if you recall. Let's take a quick look. What this reverse method does is it takes in an array as a parameter. The return type is also an array. So in Java, you can also let method return an array. Okay, return array. And then over here, so this B array is a new array as it's already allocated memory as it before you start to use. And then you can call this reverse. Is it so the B array will be the reverse of that AND array and the output prove that. Okay, so that's what we discussed yesterday. And in Java, you can also sort array. Java has method from its package. So one is within Java utility.arrays. Okay, and you can call them sort method. And in this case, we pass that B array. Then it's going to be arranged in ascending order. Okay, so B array, after you call this sort method, it's going to be updated as ascending order. Okay, and you can check to see the output to see if it's really in ascending order. And here, I'm not sure if you all have learned this kind of loop, is it? So for loop, generally speaking, you have while loop, is it? And we have for loop, is it? And generally speaking, while loop is not definite. Okay, loop, for loop is a definite loop, as it has a fixed number of iterations. And a while loop, it doesn't have fixed number. It depends on the condition, is it? And this kind of loop, so this for loop, and here you have the colon. Is it in this case, after colon is array, is it? And before the colon is the loop variable. Is it? So basically what over here shows, okay, I'm going to get every element from the array B array. Okay, and this kind of loop, we call it for each loop. Okay, so Java for array, it also support for each loop. So that you, generally speaking, you can do something like this, as if for integer I from 0, then I less than suppose 10, is it? I plus plus, is it? And then you can do the system data out, is it? And then in this case, you do B array sub I, is it? This is you get each individual element from the array, is it? And here, if you do this for each loop, then you don't need to specify the loop variable, okay? So this num here, it's automatically will get each element from this array. So over here, then this num will also change. Okay, we also change for each iteration. So this kind of loop, we call it for each loop. And in Java and nowadays also in some other programming language like Python, like JavaScript, this kind for each loop is quite often you will see in coding. Okay, so let's just get used to this kind of for each loop. It's also, it looks simpler, is it? But be careful as using for each loop. Using for each loop. The main purpose using for each loop is to retrieve. Retrieve, okay, not modify. Because if you over here, you said, oh, I assume num equals -100, it won't change the original array. Okay, so if you do want to modify some elements within the original array, then you better still use this for int I loop, then be array I sub I equals -100. Then this will change. This can change. Okay, so be careful about the subtle difference here. And then next, let's see. And in Java, you are also allowed to copy array. Copy array. But here, because this is deep copy. Okay, and then later on we will learn what's the difference between deep copy and shallow copy. So this is deep copy. So here we have so this copy from this is a char array, as it defined, declared here. And over here, this array declaration is different. Is it? You don't. We didn't see the new char. Is it? But this is also allowed. Is it? So in this case, you declare and initialize at the same time. At the same time. So how many elements for copy from you have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Is it? So the size for this copy from is 13. So its index start from 0 to what? To 12. Is it? So that's copy from. And then here, copy 2. This is another character array. How many elements it's going to have? It's going to have 7 elements. Is it? So you have these 2 different array. Is it? And you can do copy. Then one way is you get this array copy method from system. So array copy and specify the original array, the destination array, and this is the starting index, and this is a starting index. From the destination array. This is starting index from the original array. And this, the fifth parameter indicates how many elements you're going to copy. Okay. So you can directly call array call. And then in this case, so basically, this kind of show you have this copy from array, is it? And it has D and then E, C. Anyway, is it has 13 letters, is it? And over here you have copy 2 array, is it? And the copy 2 array, its size is 7. It's 7, is it? And you want to copy, is it? So what you're going to do, I'm going to copy starting from the third one. Is it? Copy to what? To the first one, is it? So then the next one going to copy to here, and the next one copy to here, is it? And totally how many you're going to copy? You're going to copy 7, Is it 7 elements to this array? But be careful, okay, these two arrays share 7 same characters. Is it? But these two arrays at different two locations. So in completely different memory location. So this is this is building 1. This is another building. Building 2. Is it? So building 1, some room. So each cell is kind of like a room. And the contents we can think of like a furniture. Is it? So both buildings have certain number of rooms. They have same furnitures. Is it? But the furniture is just a clone for each other. Is it? But both rooms have the furnitures. Okay, so that's a concept here. That's why we call this as deep copy. Deep copy. Okay, so be careful. And if you do something like this, in this case, then in that case, it should be supposed this is called neutral 13, is it? And then if you do copy 2 equals copy from, then in this case, this is a shallow copy. Shallow copy. Okay, so then in this case, what it looks like for the shallow copy is you have the copy from. Copy from array as pointer to that building, is it? And then you also have copy to, it also point to that building. So it's kind of just the same building, you give it 2 different names to reference it, is it? So in this case, we call reference. Is it? So 2 different names, but reference to the same array, okay? That's called shallow copy. Deep copy means they share same contents, but each one has its own memory location, okay? But anyway, the array copy will provide a deep copy. And there is another way you can do. You can call the copy of range method from Java utility, okay, package. And then for this method, it returns an array, is it? So what it returns an array? So it has copy from, and you specify where it copy start, where it ending the index. Okay. Anyway, this also provides the deep copy. Okay, so be careful about here, the shallow copy and deep copy. And the next, let's see. So here we have 2 integers. Is it integer x is 100, y is negative 100. Then I call this swap method. Is it? So let's take a look what the swap method does. And what I pass in is x and y, as x is 100 and y is negative 900. That's what I plugged in. Okay, so what this method does is it has 2 integer parameter. Is it? I want to, so the purpose is to exchange these 2 numbers. So after I call swap int x and y, I would expect x has 900 and y has 100. This is how swap works, is that you have already learned that. So you have a temporary one, you assign the first to the second, and then second to the first, and the temporary to the second. That's how swap works. So here, the question is, will x and y be, the value be swapped? So anyone knows the answer?
What was the question again?
The question is, this is that swap integer function. Is it here? It listed here. And in main, you have x equals 100, y equals negative 900. Then in main, I call the swap int. That I call the swap. This is in main. I call the swap int. So my question is, after I call that, is this correct? As x will be negative 100 and y will be 100.
I think it will swap after you put it in, not before.
What do you mean after you, so not before?
I mean, it's not gonna be swapped before the statement swap end. After everything you write, after swap end, it will change, not before.
No, suppose I didn't write this. Okay, suppose let's do, how about let's do this. Okay, so in main, so this is our main method, is it? And you have integer x equals 100 and y is negative 900, is it? And then I call this swap int x, y. So then I do that system dot out print line. Suppose I want to output x, is it? And plus some tab, okay, plus some space, okay, and then y. So what do you think I can get if I run this section of code? That's my question. So what is this?
As far as I can tell, it would swap, but I don't really see why it wouldn't.
So you think it will be swapped? Is it? You think it will output as negative 100 some space? Is it? And then 100? Is it? That's what you think? Okay. But the answer, if you run this program, you will find it's not. You didn't achieve the goal. It's still 100 and negative 900. Okay. So how about let's have this as the first question. The first quiz question. First quiz question. Question. You just write the system.out, the print line, the output. Okay. So output of this system.out, that print line, and send it to chat. Send it just to me. Okay. Can everybody go ahead, do this? You don't need to copy this program. You just write what you think the output is. The output is 100, negative 900, or negative 900, 100, something like that. Just the output. What do you think it will be? Okay.
You're wanting the output after you do the swap?
Yeah, just to run this, run the swap int, and then here I have the system.out print line. So what will this print line output on screen? What the output you can guess, okay? And then you send it to chat. Because the output just asks you to output x and y. Is it x and y? So what do you think after I call the swap int x will be and y will be?
Do you want me to answer?
Yeah, you can answer. Yeah, very good. Yeah.
I guess after you do the swap thing with the x and the y, I guess the x would now be the negative 900 and the y would be the 100. After
so you think the output is going to look like this? Is it negative 900, some space, and 100? Is it?
I don't see why it wouldn't.
Okay, you don't say, oh yeah, very good, very good, okay. But this is not correct. Okay, I can tell you. The output is 100 and negative 900. It's still, so X still is 100 and Y still negative 900. So you basically, even though you think I swap, but it didn't get swapped. Yeah, so you may be interesting how that happened. It did looks like it's swapped, okay. Okay, so here is a explanation, okay. So in programming language, like in Java, over here, when the program runs, it has, we call it a runtime stack in memory, okay. It's going to store some variable information function call, okay, it's a stack, and later on we will learn what is a stack. So in this case, you will have, so the main function is going to be here, and in main we have X, so value is 100, and the Y value is 900, okay? And then you call the swap in method. So it's going to be pushed to the stack, okay? And then you have two parameters, is it number 1 and number 2, is it? And because over here in main, you also call this swap. You call the swap integer, is it? So you are going to plug in 100 and negative 200, is it? But previously, if you recall, I said Java is strictly called by value. Okay, what does that mean is whatever this variable value is, it's going to be plugged in. So what's going to be plugged in here? So number 1 basically plug in that 100. Number 2 plug in as negative 200. Okay, then you see, yeah, so temp is going to be 100. Number 1 is going to be what? It's going to carry 900. And then number 2 is going to carry temp. So it's 100. So yes, number 1 does have negative 900. And number 2 does have 100. So num1, num2 does get changed. Okay, so previously, before you call it as 100, negative 900, is it? And after you call this, it's going to have negative 900 and 100. So it looks like number 1, number 2 did get changed. But did you see here on stack, on the memory? No. X still has its original 100 and negative 900. Y still has negative 900 because whatever you call, you plug in is not X, Y, are those two numbers. And those two numbers are given number 1 and number 2. And you swap on number 1 and number 2, not on X and Y. Okay, so that's why this will not work. Okay, this will not work. That makes sense? Everybody got this kind of concept?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so keep this in mind. Okay, this is a very important concept in Java. Okay, Java method, it is strictly call by value. Java doesn't have call by reference. Okay, but later on we will see, basically you need to be very careful. When you pass in objects, basically works like a call by reference, okay? So it's very tricky. So here, be careful, but keep in mind it's call by value, okay? So all this carries value. But value later on, we will say it's different, okay? So next, let's see. So after we do that, if you do print, is it, So this definitely is going to be what? To be false, is it? So you will get false for this printout. This is false, not true, is it? Okay, next, let's see. Here we have an array. This array is very simple, just has 2 elements. And the first element going to got 100, second element got 900. And this time I call this swap int, I pass in this 2 element. Okay, I pass in this 2 element. And then the second one, let's see. I call this swap array. Okay, we have another function called swap array. And then let's see. So first, how about let's do this to see how what it looks like. We run this program, see the result. And let's see. Okay, so okay, caffeine we already. Okay, let's see here. If you take a look, it said X and Y swapped. It says it's false, so it's not swapped, not swapped, is it? And then for the next one, we pass in 2 array elements, and we still call that a swap int method, is it? And just keep that. It also says it's not a swap, it's a false. And when we call the swap array, we have the third method, another method called swap array method. Then we check if the 2 elements got swapped, and it says it does. It's true. Okay, so keep that in mind. What the running result is. And then let's go back here. So based on what we just discussed, over here, this 2 array elements value doesn't get swapped. Okay, doesn't get swapped. Okay, and then here, let's see. I need more drawing space. Anyway, we kind of, okay, so let's come back to this method, is it? This method is this time we plug in R sub 0, is this, it has 100. Then R sub 1, it has negative 100, is it in our main? Okay, and after you call, when we check, it still didn't swap. So how can that happen? So similar as what we just draw. This is that runtime stack. Okay, in the runtime stack, you have that main method, is it? And we have this array, is it? And then you call this swap int method, and it has number 1 and number 2. Number 1, number 2, is it? And here, this array. So where this 100 negative 900 be stored? Okay, because in main, when you have this array declared new int 10, that's how we declare this. Oh, this is just 2. We just have 2 elements, is it? Okay, this is how we create this array. So when the program runs to that point, because of this new, okay, it's going to allocate memory at runtime. So where does it get that runtime memory? It gets from heap memory. Okay, so here is the heap memory. Heap. Okay, and then it has 2. So this is 4 bytes. And this is 4 bytes, because each Yesterday we learned each integer takes 4 bytes. Is that so? It's 32 bits. Is it 32 bits? Okay, 4 bytes. And then you assign 100. So this is sub 0. This is going to be sub 1. Is it? So 100 is going to be here. Negative 900 is going to be stored as the second. Okay. And ARR, it's a reference to this memory location on heap. Okay, on heap. And then you plug in, you call swap int here. And then you call swap in. So number 1 will get what? It will get value. Value is what? Oh, 100. Number 2 will get the value 900. Is it? Okay, so then number 1, number 2 swap. Have you ever swapped ARR 0 and 1? Has anything been changed here? All your work done is on the runtime stack. Is it? You didn't touch the heap. Is it? So runtime stack is kind of maybe like a university center. Is it? And the heap probably it's a runtime. It's not a permanent building. Okay. So when we do some task, you need a temporary, probably mobile building. Okay, so you create this mobile building over there. You have 100 and negative 900 be stored there. Is it? Okay, and over here it does get swapped. And 100. Is it? But will that change the heap, the mobile home? No, it didn't. It didn't touch that. Is it? So that's why even in this case, you pass to array element, it's still not swapped. Okay, but let's take a look. This case over here, this is a swap array method. This method parameter is array. Then this is going to be a little bit different. Okay, so let's see what happens here. So what happens here is, so this is runtime stack. Is it? So in main, and then we have that ARR. Is it? ARR call new. Is it? And then it got to the heap. And the heap has 2 consecutive 4 bytes of memory be allocated sub 0 and sub 1. Is it 100? Negative 900. Okay. And then with this swap array method. So this is method. Is it? And over here, you have this ARR now. Okay, and you plug in what? You call this time, I plug in ARR. Okay, so pass by value. But this value is ARR. So ARR num is going to get ARR. So where is ARR? Oh, ARR is here. Is it? So R number is also going to point to here. So both ARR and ARR now point to the same heap memory. Okay, so also reference to this memory location. Is it? Okay, then, okay, ARR, basically ARR sub 0. Number 0 also point to here, is it sub 0? And the ARR number 1, then is also going to point to the sub 1. Is it? Then in this case, okay, temp is going to get what? Get 100. ARR number 0 get what? it's going to get, so okay, so you will have that temp get 100. Okay, and the ARR number 1 get what? Oh, get 900. Then ARR number 1 get what? Get this 100. Now did you see the value in heap did change? Is it? So this time the swap works. Okay, so be careful. So even though over here is passed by value, but whatever you plugged in is an array. An array is a reference. So both basically reference to the same memory location. So that's why this swap does happen on whatever you passed in. Okay. Okay, so that's explain the reason. Okay, then let's get back here. So then in our program, is it in our program here, we create that array. Is it quite simple? Then we call this, okay, call this swap array. And then I said, oh, calling swap array, is it? And did it swapped? And then here I said, okay, check if this equals negative 100, if this equals negative, positive 100. Okay, so then here is our second quiz question for today. So in our main, so second quiz question. So in main here, we have this system dot print line, is it? And then it says calling swap, if it's swapped, is it? And then, so you need to let me know the answer. So here it's a comparison. Condition. Check, is it? So the answer should be true or should be false. What is the answer? Then you can send your answer to our chat. What is the answer? It's a true or false?
I think that is true.
Yeah, it is true. It did get swapped. Okay, so be very careful. Okay. Okay, so that's our first question. Okay, on our first example, we are done. And then the second example is about a console command line running of Java. Okay, so let's see. In this example, because we already learned array, is it? So if you take a close look, this is our second example, chapter 1, console input EX, okay? So in this example, this is the main method. The main method has parameter, is it? So main method parameter is what? Is a string type, is it? It's a string what? String array. String and array, is it? Okay, and basically over here, if you do system.out.print, and then here we use for each loop. And we want to get each individual arguments. Is it? Each individual arguments. Okay, so what does this mean? Okay, and because over here we use some IDE, is it? And each time when we try to run our program, we just click this run, is it? And it generates some output on our output window, is it? But Java, after you compile Java, you can also run Java program in command line, okay? in command line. And sometimes when you run application, you may want to provide some arguments, is it? So that's what we call this command line arguments. Command line arguments. Okay, command line arguments. So suppose you have a Java application created, is it? And it's after you compile, it's called app1.class. So Java file will be compiled as .class, is it? Then you can run this app1, is it? You can call Java app1, is it? And a lot of time, maybe you said, okay, I want to not just run this application name, is it? And I want to also provide something. Maybe after here, I wanted to have CMO and the CS265. So maybe these two parameter I need with this application. Is it? So will this work? Yeah, this will be allowed. So over here, this is Sable and 6265. So these two are called command line arguments. Okay, called command line argument. And in this program, then you can also show your command line arguments. Okay. So that's regarding command line arguments concept. And we kind of run out of time. So tomorrow, yeah, we can finish that program because I don't want just start and then end.